an eargasm of learning and a no-fuss show. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast, where you can learn straightforward topics about branding, digital entrepreneurship, online business, and many more with your charming host, John Santos, along with inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders worldwide.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another awesome episode. You know what I say awesome? Why I say awesome is because we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I'm a fan. She is just amazing. Plus, I'm excited to pronounce her name. This is like a struggle, the struggle that I always encounter in the Creative Talk podcast. But aside from that, I'm a fan of our guest for today. She is a business coach. She helps entrepreneurs to gain clarity in their strategic visions, messaging, and marketing roadmaps. So, wow, we have an expert for today's episode.
Oh gosh, now
you're beautiful.
Really
Very beautiful, very beautiful, very intelligent. So, guys, let's all welcome our special guest, Kristine Schwartz. Welcome to the Creative Talk podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I'm just excited to chat with you today. It's going to be great.
Yay. I told you this off cam, and I'm going to tell you again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending the time to be with us here in the Creative Talk podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I am all about creativity. It's funny. I was writing about how to kind of implement creative thought this morning. I was actually up early because I knew I had to be here for you. So it's on the mind, it's on the brain. The creative juices are flowing. So this is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, let's get it on. So we have a tradition here in the Creative Talk podcast. You know, the style of the show is, yes, we know that, experts, our guests like you, are successful and experts in your field, but we are more interested to know the process, your journey, what influenced you or who influenced you to be in this position you are right now. Just a brief story. The floor is yours. Share with us your story.
Absolutely. I'd be honored. Yeah, so I'm an average girl. I don't come from a lot of money. I don't come from people that were super successful. I had a blue collar family growing up, and I had very loving parents. And so that's my background. I went to college, and after graduation, I ended up taking a role at a radio station. So I was in sales for a while, and that was just it wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I had my sights set higher. So there was this company, it was a retailer, and they were the biggest company in town. Let's put it that way. So I said, I'm going to get a job there. And I did. I got a job as an executive assistant, which was beautiful because I was able to shadow 3 different VPs, and it kind of shuffled around. I did sourcing. I worked on their product life cycle calendar. And at the time, there just wasn't room to grow. And I've always been of the mindset to have that growth mindset. It's hard for me to take constructive criticism, but I know to grow, I have to take the advice from those that came before me, right? And so I said, okay, it's time for me to kind of get a promotion. I'm ready to grow in this business, and there wasn't room to grow. So I went back to school. I got my MBA. I was working in project management. I got my MAM, so change leadership, so double masters. And of course, during that time, I ended up taking a different role. I took a different role as a business analyst for the conglomerate company, the big company, above my current company. And it gave me this exposure to a bunch of different female retail brands. And so I was able to implement systems, work with high-level leadership, work with lower-level leadership, work with department heads and their teams and train them in and really get an idea of how to align them all from a strategic perspective. From there, I graduated and I said, all right, where's the promotion? where's the promotion? And they're like, yeah, retail's not doing so hot. There's no room to grow. And I said, okay, then I have to take it to the next level myself. I had a really amazing mentor. You asked who helped me. I had 3 different mentors, and one of which had said to me, Kristine, if you stay in the same position for more than 2 years, you're going to get stale. You need to promote yourself if no one else is going to promote you. So I said, okay, that time came and I felt it in my bones. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take a different position. So I went back to the original company I was working for, and I took a position as their marketing manager for this $1 billion company. And it was amazing. Things were going great. And then I got laid off 2 years later.
Wow.
And
it's funny how you say that. It sounded like it's no big deal.
Oh, no, it stung. It stung. I mean, I had a little pity party. I cried. I'll admit. But I was approached actually a couple weeks prior to getting laid off. And I was asked if I wanted to consult for another major retailer in the US. And I said, it might be something to explore. And then when I got laid off, I said, well, if I can do this for big business, I can do this for small business. And so I started to build my own roadmap. And it took me a really long time to figure these things out. I was struggling in my niche. I was struggling figuring out, we have this disconnect, right? Whether you're a creative or whether you're really analytical, trying to figure out and connect your purpose with your passion is not easy. And that's what I was struggling with the most. And so when I was able to figure that out and build a roadmap at the same time, I just said, I have to do this for other people because I know how big of a struggle it is to connect the two and to be able to just live into your purpose and that impact-driven business and really be able to make it quicker, make that process quicker for people. And so that's what I did. I developed a program, and now things are great, and I'm able to help people every day. So wow. In a nutshell.
Wow, I love that. And I totally agree. I love what you said about working with your passion. And I always say that is your driving force to push forward, right? Whatever happens around you, if you have a solid core, intent comes before content. Your intent, that driving force, your passion, beyond monetization, beyond business, beyond everything else. If you have that solid in you, then you can, really push forward. And that is the main reason why you can influence and help people, help entrepreneurs, guide them, because you have this drive, I mean, you can't give what you don't have. And what you have is more than just expertise. You have a driving force to really make a difference, guide them towards their success.
Absolutely. I worked with because I was in marketing for this conglomerate, I worked with a lot of marketing professionals, whether they were graphic designers, copywriters, you name it, right? And this common thread of these people not being able to, they didn't feel like people saw their value. So a lot of times these creatives will go out and they'll become freelancers and they'll start their own gig or do something on the side. One thing that I had in common with a lot of these creatives was that that sense of direct, rejection, it really fuels your why, right? It goes back to, you have to dig really deep to understand, why do you even want to do this? And it might start really surface level, and you may say, well, I want to make money, or I want to, I want to prove them wrong, or I really want to be successful so that I can show my family I can do this, And what's interesting, I was doing some research on this. You need to dig deeper. Continue to ask yourself why, because you might get down to 7 levels. They say dig deeper into 7 levels of your why. Because when you get to the root of it, you have your own for me, it was self-doubt. For me, it was, I wanted people to believe in me because I was rejected when I put my heart and soul into this company, right? So then the question is, what's your why? And so whether you're a creative or an analytical or you're a business owner, you're in a corporate position, you have to get really clear on what's driving you. And that's going to fuel your intention, like you said, right? That's going to fuel every single time you get rejected or you get a no, or it's not going the way you want it to, you have to go back to that why and your purpose.
Wow. It's funny because those elements that you said, those are, I think I created a post, but the context is for podcasting, and I'm helping out. Recently, there's a lot of consultations and coaching about businesses starting a podcast or brands starting a podcast. So I made a video clip and a carousel post about that, and I mentioned that because I believe it more than just creating something like what you've said. You should have a solid reason why you're doing it. The why. That would be your driving force to push forward beyond monetization, beyond reach, beyond wide reach, beyond connections, beyond everything else. You should always have a solid core because that will determine your values, the way you, and I believe that it would resonate to your brand, and it will show your authenticity. If you're genuine in your values, if you're genuine in your core, what you believe, the reason why, it will flow. And when that happens, it will continue to reach your audience. Your audience will feel that your brand as an authentic thing. They will feel that. And
your
that
vibe.
Will, yes. And that's where they cultivate that trust. And that's where we see brands with, I want to use this word, loyal followers. That's where they come from. When they have that connection, and it all boils down to you knowing your why, your reason.
You said something really important there, loyalty. So when I was working as a marketing manager for this conglomerate, I worked in loyalty and credit as their marketing manager. So I was managing a loyalty program for over, millions of loyalty members. And when we now working for small business, how I'll relate that is when we look at your why, and then you start to think about the customer and building that loyal following. One of the best ways to get super clear on those pain points on that customer and build that loyalty, that know, like, trust factor, you have to really dig deep into that customer's internal and external pain points, right? And when I say external, that's more tangible. So if they're having a problem with something on their website, or if they're having a problem with something tangible in their business, but internally, what's that fear? Right. And you could relate that back to you and your why, right? Like that deep rooted fear that, like, it's hard to even say out loud, because whether you're embarrassed or you have that fear, like, those are the things that people, they internalize. And so when you get clear on your customer, and whether you're marketing to it or not, you may not even be marketing to it, but you need to know that deep seated rooted issue that they're having. That's when we can emotionally connect to them, right? Because ultimately, when we map out those internal and external pain points, and then we guide them to that transformation of what we're able to create for them, that's when the magic happens, because you can empathize, right? So
Love it.
Anyways, I want to throw that one out there.
I love it. And that's, I want to dig into that, but that's going to be a whole new different topic. And that's so rich. And I believe those are the topics that, people, businesses, entrepreneurs in this generation need to know. It's just a make or break for their businesses. And I believe that because it's just awesome.
I mean, you could go surface level and say, okay, I need to know my customers, are they male, female? Where do they shop? Right. What do they buy? What do they read? You can do all of that.
Yeah.
But when you really want to connect to them, you gotta understand what's going on in their head. Just like when you're building this business, you got to know why you're doing it in the first place, and get intentional and take the time to take the breaths and dig really deep on it, so that you can always come back to it.
Knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb.
Value bombs, right?
Yeah. All right. So we've been mentioning the word brand, and our viewers and our listeners are not. This is something that I want to clear in the show, that we want to explain terminologies that we mentioned in the show, because not all our viewers and our listeners are in the same in the same niche. They might be starting a brand or starting a business, or they're new. So I want to have a very clear and simple definition of what a brand is. Because especially now in Instagram and LinkedIn, YouTube, how to build a brand, what is a brand? The brand is gonna help your business succeed, and there's a lot from gurus, and you will see a lot of them giving definition of what a brand is. So from an expert like you, what is a brand?
Well, let's start with a business. You can start a business, and a business is really a place in which someone can sell a product or service. A brand is one that captivates and builds an emotional connection to the customer. So when you think about building a brand, and when I work with my clients and we talk through building a brand identity, what's so important is to build out your brand story, to build out where you came from, and understanding that when you build out that story, that you're actually taking a pain point. Most of the time when we create businesses, we create a solution for our customers, maybe a problem that we actually had. And so it's creating a brand story that relates to the problem that we had, but what our customers also may have. And so creating a story in which they can emotionally resonate, building a brand identity so that it's consistent across every single channel, so that when you go on this podcast and you hear me say, my brand's Reinvent Your Hustle, and I'm all about helping people get clarity in their business, define their messaging, get clear in their roadmaps. Every single channel that you go to, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, whether you're seeing me on Facebook or you're watching a live, I'm going to reflect that message. So whether it's verbal, visual, whatever it might be, you want to be consistent in your branding elements. And so that's why it's so important to have a style guide, a visual and editorial representation of what your brand is. And that's going to be so helpful for you. So if you don't already have a style guide, you can go on Pinterest and grab one. The reason people create that is to not only build consistency in their brand as they're developing it, but then if you work with a third party or you work with somebody else, you're able to ensure that they can be an extension of yourself. They can understand your thought process. And so going back to your question of what a brand is creating and evoking a connection to your product and service.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's so packed with value. And if you are starting a business and you end up listening to this podcast, and I'm not promoting my podcast, it's just being realistic. If you stumble upon this episode and you've listened to this episode, that part there where you share what a brand is, it's actually more than that. You were explaining why you need to have a solid brand, the importance of it, what a brand can do, in a brief explanation. And that's a big help for people out there that are starting or are in the business. Wow, that's why I'm so amazed, because I have that heart also to help out. And I've been doing that. And you're right. It's just, it will flow. If you are going back, if you have this intent, a core inside you to help out, combined with your knowledge, combined with your experience, you will really make a difference. And the reason why I'm saying that is because listening to you, sharing it's a simple question, what a brand is, and you can easily, give me an answer out of a textbook definition of what a brand is. But you craft it so well that I can look beyond what you're saying, and I could see your expertise, your experience, and your authenticity as a person, as a brand. And that is the reason why I'm so amazed. And if I can see that, how much more your loyal followers, the people around you, the society around you that connects and build relationship with your brand. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. You are making me blush. It's all about human to human connection. When we go back to building a business, and so if you are listening or watching this and you're building a business.
You are turning, red.
I might be, but you're also making me laugh. If you're building a business, I want you to know that you do not need to spend a lot of money on advertising. I don't want you to be misled that it requires a significant investment. You can do this. You can do this on your own. You can also hire a coach, right? Like, we're all here to help and support you on your journey. Now, why do people even do that? They do that because it can get them there 10 times faster, right? You could build and DIY your business for 2 years, or you could take the easier route and have a guide. But what I will say is you do not need to invest a significant amount of money in ads. Do not be fooled by all the marketing gimmicks out there. Get very solid in your foundations. Get clear.
Wow.
Building a business plan, when we look at that, I looked at it way back and I was like, okay, I need a business plan. When it comes down to it, the key elements of a vision, a mission, and your values, those are key concepts that actually flow into your brand identity, right? So your vision helps you define your mission and your message. Your mission helps you define your message. Your values become part of your brand voice. So all of these pieces, although they seem really simple, those are the pieces that you have to pay attention to, and they start to build out the other elements of your brand. So as you're starting to think through these things, what's so important is get solid on your message, get solid on your niche, get solid on the transformation that you provide. Captivate all of that into one document, one repository or space where you can hold on to it. And then from there, then you can start to look at, how do I then execute across my channels? What channels do I want to be on, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Pinterest or Facebook, whatever it might be. And you don't have to be on all of them. Just be consistent when you're on each channel.
Right. I agree with that. You don't need to be in all those, social media platforms. If that's aligned to your plan and you can really produce content with value, then by all means. But if it makes you struggle, it's not natural. So just like what you've said, pick the appropriate platform for you. Decide and, really nurture that platform. Now, having said that, platforms, brand, businesses, you already gave me some insights. I want you to give basic tips for starters. Let's start with this one. Basic branding tips for startups out there. If they want to start a brand, if their business doing the transition, please share with us basic tips.
Yep, absolutely. So when we start looking at whether it's a rebrand or you're starting a business, I want you to get really clear on the feeling that you want to evoke. So look at your brand voice. If you haven't heard of brand voice before, it's really how you want your brand to be communicated across your channels. An easy tip is so if you're starting out, create a mood board on Pinterest. It's very simple. If you haven't used Pinterest before, it's just a visual search engine. Go on, create a board. You can make it a secret if you want. Start to gravitate, pull in fonts, colors, pictures, representations, ideas for your brand. Okay. as you're starting to identify those elements, you can start to hone in on the ones that resonate the most. Another tip as you're starting to identify your brand is, like I said before, identify those values and then take those values over to your brand voice. Identify what you will be doing in your brand, right? What are those key adjectives and verbs that describe your brand? What are you going to do in your brand? And what are you going to not do? Sometimes it's more important to even defining what you're not going to do or say or be, so that you can hold that integrity. Another tip that that I think is so important, when you're starting to think about what channels you want to be on, when you're starting to think about what's important to you, ask yourself a very simple question. Do you like to be on video? You're probably going to say no when you start out, but I would question, is your message going to be better received on video or in the written word? So when we look at,
I love that. I love that perspective, Kristine. I love that. And
right.
can you focus on that more? Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that is having this issue, having this problem.
Yep. So when we think about video, it's hard for everyone to start. I never wanted to listen to my own voice. I sound like a man because it's such a deep voice. I get it. I get it. Nobody wants to see themselves on video. It's not easy, right? You just get used to it. But what I will say is, note to self, do you like to write or do you like to speak? What's easier for you? And start to journal around that. Then from there, I want you to think about your customer and what you're selling. Is it better received on a YouTube, right? In YouTube, or is it better received on a blog? Do you want to put your message out there? Are all of your customers, do they love Instagram? Or are they trying to figure out how to do something and they're going to YouTube? Get very clear on how your customer is gathering information about your product and service, and then go back to what you're most comfortable with. That is going to not only make your life easier, but you're going to be then working in your strengths. And if let's say you're in the position where your customer is going to YouTube to do research. And so you feel that it would be great to be on YouTube, but you don't like video. You're not comfortable speaking. However, you could get used to it. I would say start out by maybe doing some lives. Start out by doing quick snippets, and no one's going to be watching. So don't worry about it. And even if people do jump on, that's brand awareness. You're just building brand awareness. It's practice, right? When you start recording videos and actually putting them into YouTube, you're going to be so well primed that it's not going to be as big of a deal. And so once you get over that fear factor, keep in mind, when you start out, you're not that big of a deal. Although we think we're a big deal, we're not that big of a deal. And so I tell my clients all the time, I know that you're so worried. I think a lot of us too, we have this fear factor of family or previous coworkers or previous people in our lives that might judge us. Because how could you be an expert in this space? You were just doing this, right? And I think what we need to realize is that it takes time to get over that fear, but we have to start taking steps in the right direction. So whether it's writing a blog, creating a website, jumping on YouTube, doing lives, just start easing your way into it and tell yourself and commit to yourself that you're going to do that action, whether it's I'm going to write a blog post, it's going to get out by this date. If I'm launching a website, I'm going to launch it with 14 blogs in the can. I'm starting a YouTube channel and I'm going to tell my audience that I'm going to be on YouTube at this time. Then you feel accountable. Figure out ways to hold yourself accountable, to get out there and push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Wow. I love those tips. Thank you so much, Kristine, for sharing wonderful, wonderful tips that really, it really makes a difference. Thank you so much. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners and our viewers learn a lot as well. Wow. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are now in this part of the show that we will play a game. right? So the first part of the show, it's, you brought us with you in your journey, what influenced your story. The middle part, that's where the meat is. Values after values, knowledge bomb. And now the last part is where we play a game. Now, the goal for this game is to show our viewers and listeners that, yes, you're an expert, but you're also a human being that sometimes don't know what to say. You just be silly and you just laugh. And we believe that it humanizes the brand, right?
Amen. All right, let's do it.
All right. So I'll be asking you questions, and you are not allowed to spend much time in thinking what the right answer would be. The first word that comes into your mind, shoot. All right?
Okay.
Let's play the creative fast talk. Question number 1, love or money?
Love.
Wow. Okay. Question number 2, popcorn and movies or dinner and dancing?
I love popcorn and I love dancing.
Well, okay, that's a good answer. Popcorn and dancing it is. Next, Kristine, what are you afraid of?
I think I said it before, right? I have self-doubt. So when it comes down to it, I want people to believe in me. So I'm always afraid of failure. And so for me, that's my driving why.
Ooh, are you coping well with it?
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. It's just, that's my why. That's what drives me, right? That's what I'm afraid of. And so that's what drives me to be better every single day.
Yeah, nice. Next, passenger or driver?
Passenger.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Mountains or the beaches?
Mountains.
If you're an animal, what animal would you be and why?
I'd be a bird so I could fly.
Movies or books?
Movies.
Your top 3 movies of all time. 3.
One Fine Day with Meg Ryan, George Clooney, Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts, and Cinderella, because every girl loves a good fairy tale.
That was like, the first 2 was like there, and then, what? Where did that came from? All right, okay. Since you answered movies, I'm going to throw in this question. The cinemas or Netflix?
Netflix, because I don't want to go to the cinema right now, but maybe someday.
Let's say there's no virus,
Yeah, no virus. I don't know. I think I'll still take Netflix. I'll stay at home.
Because of the options of movies that you can watch with.
Maybe, yeah. I like the variety.
Okay. A weird question coming up. Soap or toothbrush?
Toothbrush.
Mm-hmm. Your dream superpower and why?
Dream superpower. That's hard. I was going to say I want to know what people were thinking, but then in the back of my head, I was like, I don't want to know what people are thinking, because what if they're thinking horrible things? And then that would be a horrible superpower.
Right.
My superpower would be, I want to duplicate me. So that I have someone just like me that thinks like me that can work when I want them to work, and then I can play or whatever it might be.
It's like a clone, right?
Yeah, a clone and they're the kind of clone, like, you're not worried about the robot going all crazy on you. Like, you totally trust them.
So it's like a slave clone.
Yeah, a slave clone. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I don't mean it like that.
I pity your clone.
That's horrible. I don't mean it like that.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't mind working. So it's all good.
Right. I'm just kidding. It's your clone, but anyway, so you can do what you want. All right. The weirdest food that you ever tried?
I don't know. I was going to say kava, but that's not weird. It's just because I had never tried it before.
But aside from that, so that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what came to mind.
All right. Okay. The last question is a traditional question here. This might be serious. It depends on how you will take this question. All right. Last question is, if you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Hmm. I'm blanking on this question. I'm blanking on this one because I feel that death serves a purpose, a circle of life. But if we were going on the fun route, maybe I would say I want to bring Bing Crosby back so I can go to one of his dinner theaters and watch one of his dancing and singing shows.
Right. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. Nice. All right. So, Kristine, thank you so much for sharing knowledge, story, and, being just, a casual conversation, having a casual conversation with us, knowing of your story and knowing that you don't like to have a power that can read minds because you want clones that has no freedom.
Yeah, I know. That's horrible. They can go on vacation with me. I'm sure I'd have a lot of fun with them.
Right. So, Kristine, feel free to promote your social media accounts, any releases, if you have projects, if you have online events, the floor is yours. Feel free to promote.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you. So you can find me at Reinvent Your Hustle. I'm all over social media. I love Instagram, platform of choice. I have lots of blogs, resources, information on my website. We were talking about brand story earlier. I did, and this is a limited time, but I pulled out my brand story from my course for free for anyone that's looking to take their brand to the next level, that wants to get super clear and have a guide. So you can head on over you can grab it off of my Instagram. You can go to my website at reinventyourhustle.com. And that's really going to help you, especially if you're starting out, to get clear on what you think your brand story is, and then taking it to a different perspective of how you want to actually relate it to the customer. So I walk you through that process step by step. It's quick, it's easy. So head on over for that free download. And then what I would also say, I have a course called Reinvent Your Strategy. So if you're starting out and you're wanting a guide, you're feeling like I've been doing this for forever, I'm trying to figure out where I fit in with what I want to do, and I really just want that one-on-one thought partner, as well as potentially a group, a community to help take me to my next level. If you're feeling that pain of it's not going fast enough and you really want to take it to that next level, check out Reinvent Your Strategy. It is a 12-week program. And I work through foundations. We get clear on messaging. We get so clear on your niche, on your offers, and build out that brand, right? We help you build out that brand and then translate it into marketing content. So getting clear on your content strategy, understanding what those goals should be. What are the promotions? What are you going to launch? Like getting clear, soup to nuts from start to finish, implementing it so that you know how to do these things, that you walk away feeling confident, 10 times more clear, and honestly with a roadmap of how to get there. So Reinvent Your Strategy, head on over to Instagram. You can find me there, or reinventyourhustle.com. I'd love to have a free clarity call with any of your listeners and help them out that way as well, if they're willing.
Wow. Yes, we have solid supporters from 16 countries worldwide. So that's a
16
lot.
countries.
Yes.
So Jan, you're kind of a big deal.
No, it's all by the grace of God. I'm nothing. Right. I'm just a normal person.
We all are. We're just here to impact and elevate, right?
Yes. So guys, there you have it. A wonderful episode. And please do connect with Kristine. I'm sure she will guide you in your journey towards success. So guys, thank you for joining. A wonderful episode. Kristine, thank you again. Super thank you for joining, sharing your knowledge, sharing your story, and just being a wonderful, wonderful human being here. Be safe. Have a positive outlook in life. Smile. God bless. Bye.
Thank you for being with us here on the Creative Talk Podcast. I'm your host, John Santos. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. See you again, always.